It's really hard for these guys. We have to come back to it. A quote the other day for everyone.
It's just busy now, sir. So.
Oh yeah, how busy are you?
TJ!
Yeah.
We've got a 10-minute meeting now, haven't we? My quote was, "The merciless iced east winds that knife us." It's a poem by Wilfred Owen about exposure. Us is a collective noun. It's Megan in the background making sure I know everything. So merciless is an adjective suggesting that we can't go back and there's no forgiveness. Us is a collective noun. The iced winds they foreshadow because it's a disaster type poem. I'm done. I'm done.
Sir, very impressive. Very impressive, sir. Your 30 seconds starts.
No, I'm not ready. Right, okay. I've got trigonometry. So, the longest one is hypotenuse. Opposite is 0. And then that one's A. And then T, O, A. Okay, so T times A. So it's T is times tan. Where's tan? 36. Close brackets equals 6.32. Done it.
Very good.
Right, so my quote was, "With spools of suffering set out in ordered rows," which is from the poem War Photographer by Carol Ann Duffy. The sibilance in it, which is a repetitive S sound, shows a danger and pain. It's got quite a sharp tone to it. You can compare it to the other war poem Remains, which is showing the effect of conflict. The line in the poem is actually showing when the photographer is in his dark room and he's actually setting out the photographs in ordered rows, which compares to the soldiers being set out in ordered rows. And it also just shows how much suffering he's actually seeing in those photographs. He's talking about his PTSD, his post-traumatic stress. What else can I say? I said loads more earlier. Another line from the poem is, he's finally alone in his dark room, which means that he wanted to get away from the war. He was trying to get out. He's in his dark room, which also contrasts to the fact that everything is dark, the black and white photographs, the suffering, the pain. The ordered rows also show that everything is very emotionless in the war. The soldiers are quite emotionless, which contrasts to the word suffering, because obviously that's quite an emotionally word, which is a verb.
So the quote was said by Lady Macbeth to Macbeth after the prophecy of the witches, because she was trying to convince him and manipulate him into killing King Duncan. And it basically means that he is innocent on the inside, innocent on the outside, but evil on the inside. So she wanted him to convey that he was innocent, but underneath he was really going to be plotting to kill King Duncan.
On proper stress.
Robbie's 30 seconds starts now, go.
Okay, so the quote is that he always carries with him his low temperature, or something like that. And it's from the first stave of A Christmas Carol, and it's written by the narrator about Scrooge. So it gives the reader a negative impression of the character before they've even met him. The lexical choice of the word always means that he's always been stuck in his ways and he's never going to change. However, the metaphor is calling him a cold person, which is supported by another quote that blind men's dogs will guide them away from him, which means that even animals would avoid him. And the use of the word temperature foreshadows that with the right influences he can change and become warmer.
Okay, my quote is from Charge of the Light Brigade, which was written by Alfred Lord Tennyson in response to a newspaper article that he read, and it's to remember those soldiers who died in the Charge of the Light Brigade. It's supposed to create empathy and sympathy with the audience. The Valley of Death is a metaphor, and death is personified because it has a capital letter. So death has all of the control in this quote, and the soldiers have no control over their fate. They know they're riding to their death. And the charge of the light, the into the Valley of Death Road, the 600, is repeated throughout the poem until the end, where it changes slightly to show that very few of them survived.